In doing my Sharks-Jets thing, I might have juxtaposed the two of them. Because I think historically for me, the Sharks are the righties and the Jets are the lefties. And I might have turned that around. There may have been some confusion. For the record, just in case you're keeping score, I think
I get those confused every once in a while when you're talking about.
I think I may have switched them. It almost doesn't matter. It's just one. You're either one or the other. But I think historically I've gone. The righties are the Sharks and the Jets. The lefties play the part of the Jets. I don't want, based on some emails coming in, for people to be all of that confused. Because you'll recall that your guy, Colbert, he played his role previously, right, was basically a fake conservative, right? I mean, a mock conservative. That was the bit.
Yeah.
So to that extent, then he would be a fake shark, correct? Yeah. He wasn't really. He didn't really. He's just playing a character, as if that's exactly what he was. I'm more confused now than I was before. Let's just get to the bit.
It's time for Dr. Dan's Inbox.
Oh, we get letters.
Every single Thursday, right around 4:30, thanks to our good friends at Wedding Day Diamonds. Thank you, Wedding Day Diamonds. You can get on the fun every week emailing me, jg@kfan.com. Dear Dr. Dan, struggling a little bit this week with a statement put out by my boss. I feel like he's pretty much bullying me in the media, and no, I don't like that. A lot of the vaccination appointments so far have only been available in prime time, and no, I don't like that either. Then this whole 2-shot thing. It's complicated. I'm a simple man, Dr. Dan. I like to take things one at a time, like my pizza with just one topping. Any more toppings, it's tough to know which bite to take. I don't have any personal fear about the virus. I understand there are great reasons to wear masks and distance, and I respect that. But really, one of the best pieces of advice for me has been the importance of rest. And I found that during the pandemic, I really just like jumping on Zoom in my Sparty PJs. So can you please clear this up with M. Zimmer? He's a pretty gruff guy. Your friend, Kay Cousins.
Well, we found out yesterday that Kay Cousins, I think he was asked directly about whether he's gotten the shot. He refused to answer.
Medical info private.
Which is his right, by the way. On the other hand, as we said yesterday, the National Football League, in conjunction with the Players Union, has a right to implement a set of rules that don't have to be the same and shouldn't be the same, quite frankly, for those who decided to get vaccinated or have been vaccinated and those who haven't, ultimately leading to you could make the argument that the way the league is going public with this stuff now is it's their own effort to incentivize more people being vaccinated. We've talked about incentivizing it. Some states we're going to give you a lottery ticket. Other states we're going to give you a bowl. And then here, of course, we'll give you, a gift certificate to Panakukan Hoos. Well, no, not exactly that. But
they haven't brought out that big gun yet.
No, that's true. And in this case, whether they intend this as a strategy or not, that's how it appears. They're offering up, okay, here's the list. Here's the chart. We got a legal pad out. On the left side, here's the rules. Once training camp starts and the season begins, if you are vaccinated, on the right-hand side of the legal pad, here are the rules if you have not been vaccinated. And there's a significant difference between the two. There's going to be a great deal more hassle for people who have chosen not to get vaccinated. I thought I saw a headline today. Who's the plucky little receiver for the Buffalo Bills?
Not Stephon Diggs.
No, not Diggs. Diggs is more than plucky, and he's not little.
I don't remember.
I can't remember his name. Cole Beasley.
Oh, yeah.
Cole Beasley's bitter about the implication, the implementation, I should say, of these rules seems very, very bitter. The interesting thing will be on Kay Cousins, will he budge? Between now and, but problem now is if he gets the Moderna or the Pfizer, let's say if he got the first shot soon enough, he could be double vaccinated by the time training camp starts. If he waits too long, though, he might not be fully vaccinated.
I would say he has to go right to Johnson & Johnson because you need 2 weeks after the second one. and you got to space them out 3 weeks. So he'd be right up against the deadline.
You need 4 weeks.
Well, after
Moderna
the second
and Pfizer.
one.
Oh, after the second one to be fully. I got you. I see what you're saying.
That's what I was told.
Yeah. Now, again, you could say, all right, but then after 2 weeks of training camp, you'd be okay. I don't know. I just find it fascinating that Zim ends up being the guy who is sticking the needle in, and I don't think he's doing it for political reasons. I don't.
No, he just wants to win football
based
games.
on what we know about Zim and what's on the TVs in outside Cincinnati, in the ranch,
Zimmer
at the ranch.
Yeah.
He's doing it because he's all football guy. He wants his team together. He wants to have as few roadblocks as possible to them doing stuff together, and putting together the best football team. For him, it's strictly about the football. Kay Cousins told us yesterday it was about the football. Well, if it is, then he better get the jab. If he decides not to get the jab, which is his right, I'm not telling him he can't. It's not about the football though. And then you just have to own that and say, well, no, some stuff is more important to me than football. Even though I like to tell people football is everything to me.
Tweet that.
It's time for Dr. Dan's Inbox.
Letters. Oh, we get letters. We get your letters every day.
Dear Dr. Dan, are you familiar with imposter syndrome, in which an individual doubts their skills or accomplishments and has a persistent fear of being exposed as a fraud?
I feel that every day.
Well, I've been feeling that way since it was announced this week. I have won an award at my workplace that I really don't think I deserve. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate the recognition. Maybe I could understand why I would be chosen in any other year. But Dr. Dan, I have this coworker in the Minneapolis branch office. Let's just call him A. Edwards. Real standout. He killed it for our Midwest territory this year, especially late in the season. That guy's going to be running this whole place someday. You can bet on it. So I can't, in good conscience, accept an award I know belongs to somebody else. That's not how my father raised me. So my question is this. How do I respectfully decline the recognition without seeming like an ungrateful millennial? I assume that you, Dr. Dan, would have experience with this sort of thing, given the number of Marconi awards your station has won. Wow, that was cheap.
That's very vicious.
I didn't mean to read that part. Or Emmys for the TV show. Yours, L. Ball.
I don't know how to break it to the upper Midwest basketball community, but the nation has not, the sports nation has not been brought to its knees over the announcement or the reportage indicating that L. Ball will win or has won the Rookie of the Year award over our guy, A. Edwards. As I said on yesterday's program, and I've said before, if I had a vote, I probably, in the end, because of the number of games that L. Ball missed, I'd probably give it to A. Edwards. But the notion that this is some kind of a travesty and some kind of a criminal injustice is in of itself laughable. And L. Ball did come back late in the season. His team did make the postseason. You could say big deal. It's in the Eastern Conference and what happened when they got there, Dan. But it was a better team than the Timberwolves team. So to pretend that this was again worthy of the commissioner stepping in and saying something is just laughable. It's just stupid. And there are even some analytics, quite frankly, if you believe in them, in which L. Ball ranks ahead from a true shooting percentage standpoint, for example, of your guy, A. Edwards. So I would just say,
sorry, K-fan.
We know we love A. Edwards. He came on explosively, especially the last couple of months of the season. And it's not worth the hassle. It's not worth getting that bitter over. Be happy you have him. Be happy with what he seems to represent. And where, if he keeps his head on straight, which is important, he might be going down the road. No one's going to have to, no one's going to, there's no reason for the fretting. I know what it's about. We have nothing else because we're not connected to the postseason. Again, we're not in any other meaningful way connected to the NBA. And so this is the closest we get from an award standpoint because I don't think we have anybody in the MVP Derby. Pretty sure. I don't think we have anybody in the Defensive Player of the Year Derby. That I'm very sure of.
Yeah, we're
actually.
not. Yeah, no.
So you say, well, this is the one thing that makes us feel vital. Go ahead, knock yourself out, but it's silly. It's dumb. There's no conspiracy. And both of these players had outstanding rookie seasons. And in all fairness to L. Ball, he may have gotten hurt. But if you want to talk about consistency from the start of the season to the end of the season, which is among the ways you're allowed to evaluate, he was the most consistent rookie. Sorry.
It's time for Dr. Dan's Inbox.
Letters. Oh, we get letters. We get your letters every day.
Dear Dr. Dan, all I want is a plan and some answers. I've kept my mouth shut for the past month or so. I ripped the cover off the ball in St. Paul, and now they have the cojones to tell me I can't play after they fly me out to Seattle to join the guys. R. Baldelli or D. Lama or whatever you guys call him keeps telling me I'll be in the lineup when I can run. Okay, sure. But then why would you put me in the lineup with our AAA team last week? Did you see the triple I legged out? I've had it. This team is diseased. I get it. I've had my share of injuries, but how they are handling this situation is on par with Jay Gard's math skills and D. Barrero's chamois fashion on his walks. Enough said. Love the show. B. Buxton.
Well, again, we got into this subject. It's exhausting. The last 2 days at various
When we
times.
weren't talking NBA.
And the brief stretch when we weren't talking pro basketball and some of my favorite NBA teams over the decades. But there is, I guess, I think there is a legitimate question that I'm not sure has yet been answered as to why there was any point. If he is as far away as the Twins are suggesting, that is, he didn't play in Seattle. He's not going to play in Texas. That's where we go next. Rangers are bad, by the way. They're a horrible team. It's resistible force versus movable object in that series. Then you say, well, then why bother send him out there at all? Because you give the notion, the indication that he's close when you make that move. I don't know if that question has yet been answered. On the other hand, some of it may have to do, if you read the Rocco quotes, with the mixed messages that B. Buxton continually seems to make. Unless they're making up the quotes, they're making it sound like he said, yeah, I feel good. But then it turns out that actually he felt something. He felt a twinge here. He felt a little something there. The next day he didn't feel quite as good. And it may well be that too is a reason that R. Baldelli, Lama, who has been too cautious on using players in general, certainly keeping pitchers in games in general, might have a reason to be as anal, decidedly anal as he's been in his caution about sending B. Buxton back into the lineup.
It's time for Dr. Dan's Inbox.
Letters. Oh, we get letters. We get your letters every day.
Dear Dr. Dan, I'm having this letter transcribed to clear a few things up. While enjoying a swim off the East Coast, enjoying a delightful snack, a large object interrupted my meal. I believe you have an employee who once experienced a similar snafu while drinking some coffee when something got stuck in his throat for about a decade. Luckily, I was able to discharge the object quickly. It didn't lodge in my throat, nor my blowhole. Please let your kind know this was purely accidental, and our kind had no desire to consume your processed food and sugar-filled bodies. Mistakes were made. Let's move on. Sincerely, H. Whale.
Well, the debate goes on. And it's nice to hear from the whale in question, I guess. H. Whale.
Wonder who transcribed it.
That's
A. Greeter from the Pioneer Press is out in Cape Cod.
Are you old enough to remember? You're not, I'm sure. There once upon a time there was a television show called Flipper.
I remember Flipper. Yeah, I never really watched it.
Was it about a porpoise or a dolphin?
That's
always
way
get
too
those
specific.
two
Yeah. I'm not Jacques Cousteau. I'm not Jay
confused.
Cousteau.
I want to say Flipper was a dolphin. Used to be one of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing animal. Amazing in its ability to fight crime, for example, in very creative and almost unimaginable ways. And the amazing thing about this animal is if Flipper seemed to have the ability to communicate with, I can't remember the name of the kid who he belonged to and the father, but some big title. But it's almost as if the animal could talk. I don't think whales can talk. Maybe there's other ways that you can learn how to communicate with them. I'm not sure. There was the Don Knotts classic film called The Incredible Mr. Limpet, in which he spent basically most of his life so fascinated with fish that he dreamed of becoming one and eventually fell into the drink and was transformed magically into a fish. Not just any fish, but a fish that helped the United States Navy turn the tides of World War II in our favor. It's a little-known story based on fact.
Wow.
Based on fact, yeah.
They don't teach you that in history.
No, they don't. No, they don't, among many other things. The debate, like I said, the last round seems to be, it went like this. Amazing story of the lobster diver. Remarkable recovery. Feel-good story. Then the cynics showed up, including some of the doctors who examined him and said, not so fast, my friend. And now the next wave were the people who said, I think the doctors are being too cynical. It's not likely to happen, but it probably did happen. So right now, the ball is back in the court of the cynics. Yeah, I would say. It's a game of tennis, basically, back and forth. And we'll find, I've not heard what the latest cynics have said, or what the cynics have said most recently about how we get to the bottom of it. Dr. Dan has suggested Polygraph, a pay-per-view TV show moderated by Geraldo Rivera. To me, would be absolutely perfect. You strap him to a polygraph. You ask him dramatic, but, very frontal, precise questions. And we go with whatever. If he passes the polygraph, we give him the benefit of the doubt. If he doesn't, we know he's a charlatan. We know he's a scam artist. We know this has been set up from the beginning. Has he been willing to do that? Has anybody asked him?
I don't think anybody's asked him. Not sure. Flipper is a bottlenose dolphin. Sandy is one of the sons.
Sandy, that's right.
And
Sandy.
then Bud is the younger son.
Who was the father?
Brian Kelly.
Okay.
Is the actor. Porter Ricks.
Do you remember the song?
Is the name. Yeah, wasn't it Flipper?
They call him Flipper. Yeah. Flipper, faster than lightning. That was I think that was a great song. That was a heck of a song. It was, I think, number one with a bullet for a while. I'm pretty sure.
It's time for Dr. Dan's Inbox.
We got to move. We're letting this breathe.
It's your fault.
But we got to move.
Okay.
No, it's the fault of the audience because these letters are all so good. Dear Dr. Dan, what's up with Rocco? He decides to pull the guy who replaced me in the rotation after just 63 pitches last night, yet now brings me in late in games and keeps me out there even after I continue giving up hit after hit. I'm not your go-to mop-up guy like our utility infielder who throws 40 miles an hour, and yet he still, by the way, has a lower ERA than me. What do the analytics say about that, Dr. Dan? M. Shoemaker.
I miss him. Is M. Shoemaker? Did we use him last night? I didn't check the box.
I don't know. You want me to look?
Yeah, double check out of curiosity. Realistically, no, because we didn't give up any more runs.
We used Thielbar, Colome, Rogers, and Alcala.
Wow. So he did. So that
does have to hurt, though.
And we won.
That does have to hurt. You get pulled from the rotation, and they won't even let the next guy throw more than 60 pitches.
Well, that's going to change fairly soon. How much money do we have invested in M. Shoemaker? Why don't we just cut him? Isn't it time? What's the point?
I don't know what the point is.
I have no idea. But I like I said, he's got greater entertainment value to this show. He's definitely he's made a horrifically dull, uneventful season worth paying attention to, just to see what he'll either do next or what he will say next.
It's time for Dr. Dan's Inbox.
Dear Dr. Dan. I think it might be time for me to request a trade, like all NBA superstars do. How do you expect to win here when A. Edwards gets robbed of the Rookie of the Year only because it's Minnesota? Plus, I get mocked and ridiculed for my load management days when there is a dearth of injuries this year in the association. And by the way, A. Rodriguez is moving the team in 3 years anyway. D. Russell. None from K. Holmes this week. I'm a little disappointed.
That is a little surprising.
Yeah, thought we'd get one of those.
What was the bit? What was the thrust of it then? From D. Russell?
Should D. Russell request a trade, given the team's on its way out?
Okay.
You can't do anything in Minnesota. A. Edwards got job.
Well, I Dr. Dan would say, hell yes, let's get it done. Where's the door? Move, get through it. Dr. Dan's not been the greatest admirer of D. Russell since he got here. He has granted that after the coaching change, there seemed to be some simpatico there between him and the coach. And offensively, he seemed even willing to share the ball and not have to always be the point guard. Seemed to work very, very well. I just don't trust it long term, and he still can't guard you. That's going to be part of the continuing challenge. We're close to the lottery, are we not?
I think it's
next week, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's
and
early
then the
next
draft,
week.
I think, is the week after that, isn't it?
No,
it can't
draft
be that
is in
soon because
July.
the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, draft is in July.
NBA playoffs don't end till like July 30th.
It's time for Dr. Dan's Inbox.
Letters. Oh, we get letters. We get your letters every day.
Dear Dr. Dan, I am so excited. After a million self-induced missteps in my career, I now have a great new opportunity at redemption in professional football with the CFL team in Montreal. It ain't the NFL, but I'm grateful for the chance. And if it goes well, I should be back playing pro football at the highest level in America before you know it. Man, I'd love to play QB for a storied franchise like Green Bay or New England, but I suppose A. Rodgers and T. Brady are locked in as QB1 for those teams for the next decade, huh? Oh, well, at least I'll make it back to the NFL before T. Tebow. Right, Dr. Dan? 2018, Jay Manziel.
That's too good. That's so good. Oh, boy. Well, Dr. Dan probably should explain it to people who weren't listening to yesterday's program. It was a comedy of gaffes and errors early when you brought to my attention that Kay Seifert had some interesting detail, speaking of the COVID-19 vaccine protocols as it pertains to NFL players, those vaccinated, those not, and the differences between the two. I went to Twitter because I couldn't remember Seifert's Twitter handle for some reason. I don't know why. So I do what I do a lot of times. I just did a search for his name. And the first thing that shows up on that search for his name was actually he's cited at ESPN.com for breaking the story that Jay Manziel had been traded from one CFL team, I think from Montreal, to another. I thought it was too good to be true, but I said, well, we're going to have some fun with that. Well, it turns out that trade did happen and that Seifert did break it, but he broke it, as you mentioned, in 2018. So we had to do a little bit of cleanup on aisle 4 during the first and second segment of yesterday's program. That email is a callback, brilliantly played, to exactly that comedy of errors. And then it got even more complicated when you said, well, I think that's from 3 years ago. And I thought you meant
Yeah, you got confused.
the protocol was 3 years ago. And that, of course, makes no sense because there was no COVID-19 that we knew of 3 years ago. Well, except for the lab in Wuhan, right?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So that took even more correcting. That's the whole point. That's the bit. I only explain it not because the email itself wasn't brilliant, but because there are, believe it or not, some people who don't listen to this show every day. Unless we talk NBA, though. Then they do listen every
Which we're going to get to in the top 5.
Even better. Is that?
Oh, no.
We got another one.
We got a couple more.
Nice.
We got
Well,
2 more
don't
quick
blame
ones.
me.
CM Boss. Wedding Day Diamonds.
Get your letters every day.
Dear Dr. Dan, I guess I met one of your buddies the other day on a Zoom media scrum. Our liaison, B. Hagan, called for 2 more questions. So your guy starts talking. It sounds like he's in a phone booth with the door open during Manhattan rush hour traffic. Honestly, I felt like G. Popovich. I couldn't understand a word he was saying.
Food in the mouth.
But you know me, always trying to be affable. I introduced myself and said, "Nice to meet you." Then crickets. Let me just play it. Till he abruptly says, "Yeah, nice to meet you too." Dr. Dan, what is L. Neal's deal? Was he trying to mess with me? If so, he's got big balls. M. Zimmer.
Time for two more. Lavelle and Andrew.
Hey, Coach. Lavelle Neal, Minneapolis Star Tribune.
Nice to meet
Curious
you.
to get. What was that?
Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you too. Curious to get your initial impressions of.
Felt like Greg Popovich
so good.
couldn't understand a word he was saying.
I can't understand a word you're saying. You got food in your mouth.
We haven't played that for a long time. The best
I
line
didn't
of
think
this
you were
whole
coming to
thing.
me, Coach. I didn't think you were coming to me.
But you know me, always trying to be
That's
affable.
just so good. Yeah, that's very well played as well.
Last one.
It's time for Dr. Dan's Inbox.
Oh, we get letters.
We're going to confuse Halby because we don't have the text for this one. This was a late breaker. Dear Dr. Dan, you the man. The check is in the mail. A. Silver.
I think no comment is necessary. That's the good walk-off.
Dean Blevins, News 9, Oklahoma City.
I can't understand you. Food in your mouth.
I didn't expect you that quickly, Coach. I'm sorry.
I'm being serious. I can't understand a word you're saying.
This is Bumper to Bumper with Dan Barrero on The Fan.
There it is. 53 balls.